said I was going to read about 7 verses. Let's see if I can keep that goal. And so now Paul's about to put himself in the place of a Corinthian, the skeptic Corinthian who asks questions. Well, how are the dead raised? With what kind of body will they come? And now he's about to call him stupid. Why? He's already taught these things to them before. He's already told them everything. He's already taught them the mechanics. He was with them for years, several years. He's been sending letters, etc. And they decided to just listen to the Judaizers instead. So Paul, yes, he is angry. And this happens to the pastor as well. Say he's a pastor that does teach doctrine. He's faithful and studying, and teaching. And when he's teaching and he finally figures something out that took him about 10 hours, 20 hours to figure out, and then he teaches it to his congregation. The congregation is just sitting there, indifferent, apathetic, and they're not getting it. And they're asking stupid questions again, basic questions. The pastor is going to get mad. There he is, burning his brains, trying to teach him, and the congregation is not understanding anything that the pastor is saying. They think they are. And so, yeah, it's inevitable that the pastor is going to react. He's going to become mad. And that's why he needs a whole lot of impersonal love. Paul, let me tell you that Paul did have a lot of impersonal love towards them. In fact, he appreciated the Corinthians a lot. And one of the things about having authority and appreciating someone under you is that it becomes very difficult to rebuke them. And this is a test of character for anyone who has authority. That when you're in authority and there's going to be people under you, your underlings, those whom you are prone to dislike and those whom you like a lot. And when it comes time to rebuke one of those whom you like, it becomes very difficult because you appreciate that person. You don't want to ruin the relationship, etc., but you have to function with virtue and integrity and honor. You have to use your authority correctly. And so virtue has to take precedence, honor has to take precedence, and you have to rebuke the person. You have to correct him, regardless of him becoming mad, angry at you, or seeing you different thereafter. So this is a character test. And this is the case with Paul. He appreciated the Corinthians a lot. And here he is, 16 chapters of 1 Corinthians, just whipping them left and right. Okay, so verse 35 now says, but someone will ask, how are the dead raised? With what kind of body will they come? Let's look at the Greek so you can see. Allah, but. Ere, these, here's the nominative case, indefinite pronoun these, someone, and then the future active indicative of apon, ask, someone will ask. Now we have the interrogative particle here, interrogative adverb, pos, how, and those was the nominative case right here, oi, hoi, nekroi, how are the dead, egeirontai. This is the verb right here, present passive indicative of egeido. We've seen this word already about 10 times in this chapter. How are the dead raised? Passive voice, how are they raised? How will they resurrect? Here's the article. As you can see, there has been the omission of the article. All these necros have been anarthros, and here's talking about the resurrection believers at the rapture. Because many are going to resurrect. There's going to be the Old Testament believers, the tribulation of martyrs, the millennial saints. But here's talking about the rapture. And those are the church age. How are the dead raised? And then now, pollos, we have el pollo que me comí hace rato. Pollos, dative singular of pollo. Pollo, somati. So this is the adjective, and now here's the noun, somati, and this is body in the dative as well. With what type of body? What type, pollo? Somati, body. What type of body? Erchontai, will it come? So, how are the dead raised? And with what body will it come? That's the question that some skeptic Corinthian might ask. And probably Paul has already heard these types of questions. Someone told him about him, and here he is. He's about to respond to it. He's going to dedicate a lot of verses to almost the rest of the chapter. Look how much we have left. So there's time, the good thing. 36 now, verse 36. Stupid. Afron, non-thinking one. Here is fron, to think, and the alpha privative, is non-thinking. Stupid. Su, ho, speres. Okay, you want me to read the NIV just in case? How foolish. Okay, how foolish. What you sow does not come to life unless it dies. So now it's about to go to the agricultural analogy. In the ancient world, many of the economies were based on, they were agricultural economies. So these things were easy to know. The whole public knew about agriculture. And so he's about to use an agricultural economy. Nowadays, with all these urban cities, if you live in LA or New York, it's going to be hard for you to understand. But for us, who were a little bit country, living in little country towns, where you go out and you see fields everywhere, then this is a little bit much easier. But let me explain. Stupid. Su, we have the nominative of su, personal, you, and then speres, it's a present active indicative of spado. So, what you plant. So, you plant, and then here we have the relative pronoun of hos, in the accusative neuter. So, you, what, sow. What you sow is the correct translation. What you sow is not, or here we have zo, boietai, the present passive indicative of zo boie, it's a compound word, which is life, zoe, right here, from which we get the word zoology from, the zoo, life, and then we have the verb boie, to make life, to make alive. It's in the present passive indicative, and it's with the negative u, will not be made alive. So now, what do we have? Stupid. What you sow will not be made alive. And then we have a third class condition here, and the negative. If not, apotanein, it dies. The aorist active subjunctive of apothnesko. If not, it dies. Now this is an idiom, and it's translated unless it dies. Stupid. What you sow is not made alive unless it dies. In other words, the seed, whether it's seeds of broccoli, seeds of cauliflower, seeds of asparagus, once you sow them, the seed breaks, and that is considered the death of the seed. The death of the seed, yeah. So the seed has to break, it has to open up, and that's the death of the seed. And so now he's making an analogy, meaning that the body, the physical body, has to die first. And, Guy, let's look at the translation, verse 37. When you sow, you do not plant the body that will be just a seed, perhaps of wheat or of something else. In other words, again, continuing with the analogy, means that you do not plant the whole body, that you do not plant the plant itself. I mean, you can do that depending on what it is. But here we're talking about an agricultural economy where you go out there and you see all the furrows that are built, and you see someone ready to plant the seeds and make them grow, waiting for the harvest so that they can sell and live off the land. I'm not talking about the green lover who has all these plants and he's about to transfer his tree to another place and all that. Guy, so and what you sow, again, present active indicative, second person plural, here with the relative pronoun once again, and what you sow, and now we have here an ellipsis because there's no verb. We do have a participle here, but I'll tell you what it is. So what you sow is, we add the ellipsis, is not, and now here, this is the predicate nominative, yes, what you sow is not a predicate nominative. What you sow, not the body which will become. Okay, so it's it points back to the relative pronoun. Sorry for my lack of preparation. What you sow is not the body, soma, to genesomen. So it's not the body of the plant. So we have here to soma, and then we have the article going back to this, to its antecedent, and then the participle. This is an articular participle of ginomai, genesomenon, in the future active participle. The body which will become. What you sow is not the body that will become. How did the NIV translate it? When you sow, you do not plant the body that will be. Okay, that's much better. It's much smoother than what I said. What you sow is not the body that will be, but. And now again, the present active indicative of spero, second person plural. But you sow gumnon kokon. And so here, gumnon, it's naked. Naked, that's from which we get the word gym from, gymnasium, because it goes back to the ancient Greeks when a lot of the men used to work out naked in the gym. And so that's where we get gym. Here, naked, gumnon. Gumnon kokon. And so the naked grain or the naked seed. Yes, it's grain because this was an agricultural economy and they used to plant a lot of bread, a lot of wheat. So gumnon kokon, the naked grain. So what do we have thus far? And what you sow is not the body that will be, but you plant the naked seed. And then we have here a fourth class condition. So this is with the optative. In the New Testament, we don't have any complete fourth class conditions, just the initial clause. If it should be wheat or some of the rest. So how do they get it here in the NIV? Perhaps of wheat or something else. That's much better. So when you sow, you do not plant the body that will be, but just a seed, perhaps of wheat or something else. In other words, you don't get the melon, you don't get the asparagus, you don't get the sunflower planted there. You plant this seed, and that seed is going to become something.